Hey, what's up everyone? swgg here with Swagger Gaming. We are working on some new WoW guides moving forward, and today I wanted to start with mining. I did a video on this in beta, but wanted to revisit it based on all of your feedback and to see if there are any noticeable differences. I'm going to go over the averages for different ranks of mining, as well as each zone and different routes. I will leave timestamps in the description so you can jump to specific locations, and there will be a link to all of my graphics and spreadsheets as well. I ran the same route in Tiragarde Sound with ranks 1, 2, and 3 of all deposits and seams excluding Platinum. Platinum was so random and takes a bit longer to rank up, so I left it out of this comparison. This data might be useful for people who might be leveling a new character while mining or leveling a character with mining. The results were pretty much as expected, with rank 1 being the least amount of ore and rank 3 being the most on average. The only thing that stood out to me here was the difference between rank 2 and 3 was quite large. This just means that it is absolutely worth the time to return to town and upgrade to rank 3 as soon as you are able to. Alright, let's get into the routes. I did 30-minute intervals for each of these routes at rank 3 mining and was typically watching streams or Netflix during, so if you're laser focused, these numbers might be a bit higher. If you have any routes you love, please let me know in the comments down below and I'll make sure to check them out. First, let's look at Kultiras. In general, I found Kultiras to have some of the best routes, which was also the case in my beta server video. The first route is in Tiragarde and is the entire area to the north. I like to follow the river on the east side because of the seams within, and every other loop I would go into the Mistfall Cleft to the north to check the caves. I would then switch off between continuing to follow the river just south of Northington Estate and hitting the coastline. This route net a total of 35 nodes and 192 ore. This was with 5 seams, 5 rich deposits, and 25 regular deposits. Next up is in the middle of Tiragarde Sound. This was my favorite route in beta and it ended up being a fairly high yield again. I would start near Vigil Hill and run along the coast until I was just west of Bridgeport, then jump up the hill and follow just south of the path back to Vigil Hill. We got a total of 39 nodes and 199 ore out of this route. The interesting thing here was we only found 2 seams and 3 rich deposits, so I feel like this route has more potential than the numbers show. In Drustvar, we did a big loop starting at Fallhaven and running northwest through the mountains, turning around at Core Lane and coming back through Aram's Stand. This route was only 32 nodes, but net us 179 ore, because we had 7 seams and 4 rich deposits to make up for the lower total number of nodes. There were actually a few more nodes on this route, but because the loop is so large, we ran into a lot of phasing issues. There were probably 5 to 10 times we started to mine something that disappeared before we could finish. The last route in Kultiras is the Deadwash area in Stormsong Valley. For this one I switched off between hugging the inside and outside of the canyons, and made sure to stay up on the path at the south near the windmill to avoid the extra monsters. I would typically go into caves only if there were multiple nodes, which ended up being every 3 or 4 loops. Expect to fight a good number of monsters here as well. This route tied for the highest number of nodes with 39 and got us a total of 222 ore. Because of the caves, we had an extremely high 8 seams and 6 rich deposits, which contributed to the high ore count. It may be a coincidence, but we also got the most platinum deposits here as well. Okay, let's talk Zandalar. This is going to be a lot briefer than Kultiras because I just don't believe Zuldazar or Nazmir are really worth visiting. Zuldazar gave us 27 nodes for 124 ore. Some areas showed promise, but the amount of wandering monsters and elevation changes make it a rough time. Nazmir was by far the worst with 23 nodes and 113 total ore. I would think this area would be fairly good given its layout, but the volume just isn't there, and the waterways break up a lot of the higher density areas. The phasing here is also pretty bad. And that just leaves Voldun. Voldun surprised me, tying for the highest number of nodes at 39, and coming out on top with 228 total ore over a 30-minute test run. This is due to the 9 rich deposits and 3 seams I found on this route. The route itself is fairly simple and was just running a giant loop through the mountain areas on the edges of the zone. Somehow the elevation changes were not a huge issue and I did not run into any phasing problems whatsoever. So what's the best route then? I would recommend either of the Tiragarde Sound routes, the Deadwash, or Voldun, depending on what area you like the best. All of these routes seem to have a good amount of ore available, and the efficiency will depend on a few factors that may be out of your control, including what server you're on and how many others are farming in that area. And that's everything I have for today. If you liked the video, then please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and checking out my Twitch channel for more gaming content. Lastly, a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thank you again for hanging out with me, and have a great one.